Hi, my name is Kevin Snyder. I'm an estate and elder law planning attorney in Irvine, and today I want to talk to you about what moving means for your estate plan. We've been talking with a few clients recently about moving from another state to California and how that might affect their estate plan. In fact, we had clients in today that moved from Virginia and had done their planning in Virginia and now are going to be retiring in California. So we were talking a lot about what that means for the estate plan that they put together a number of years ago in Virginia. And oftentimes in a state like Virginia, the laws are different than the states in California. And how is that going to impact your planning? And we're going to talk a lot about that today. So some things to look for when you move to a different state are looking at what are the laws of that state, and is that state a community property state or a separate property state? Does that state have an inheritance tax? Those are all things that you can look at. And sometimes it's not you that's moving. Sometimes it's other aspects of your plan that are moving. For example, what do I mean by that? Well, of course, you are a central part of your plan, but so is the property involved in your planning. You might not be moving from a certain state, but maybe your property is. Maybe you sold a house here or some real estate here and have purchased real estate in another state. Been talking with a lot of clients this year that are investing in Idaho because the market is really good right now. It's a hot market and there's a lot of investment opportunities. They're unloading property here in California and reinvesting in Idaho. How might that impact their estate plan? Or it could be other things. They've invested in different accounts that are based on programs based out of that other state. So that's an example of how property can be moving, but you're not. In addition to property, our planning involves other people. Number one, we have the people that we want to provide for. Those are typically called our beneficiaries. And so sometimes they move. And how is that going to be impactful? Why is that important? Well, for example, if you have a child or a grandchild that you want to provide for in your plan as a beneficiary to give an inheritance to after you pass away, it'll be important to know where it is that they live, because not all states are created equal when it comes to inheritance tax. Well, there's no inheritance tax here in California, and if your beneficiary lives in California, they're not going to get taxed by the state of California for receiving an inheritance. That's not universal. There are still some states that do have an inheritance tax. For example, New Jersey has one. So if one of your beneficiaries moved to the state of New Jersey, you're going to want to find out how that's going to impact them as a beneficiary at the time that you pass away. Is that going to interfere with the goals that you have set? Are there other types of planning that you can do, or simply education in regards to your beneficiary? It could be that you have a trustee or a healthcare agent or somebody who's going to be your power of attorney or a guardian that has moved, and that might impact your estate planning. Why? Because number one, geographically it might become difficult for them to fulfill the roles and responsibilities that they're going to have. So understanding how that would work for them will be important. In addition, if they move out of the country, that also might be impactful for them in order to fulfill some of their duties. And we've had a number of clients where they've had family members that are now living abroad, either for business reasons or they've moved to another country to be with other family members, so on and so forth. So these are all considerations to think about when you are doing your planning. And last, of course, is whether or not that state is a community property or a separate property state. That's going to be really, really important, particularly how you hold property with a spouse, for example, will be important. But even if you're not married, moving to a new state, there's going to be new laws, and if you're living in that state when you pass away or you become incapacitated, you're going to want to make sure that your legal documents are going to be effective in that particular state, which brings me back to our clients that we met with today, and that was the situation. So they lived in Virginia. The Virginia laws weren't going to be applicable in California, particularly with the strategies that they were using in Virginia to reach the goals that they had in their planning. Oftentimes in Virginia, for example, there's a focus on using wills and will-based planning. But for the types of assets that our clients had, that wasn't going to be work here in California. And Had they passed away today, then they would have been going through probate court in a full probate proceeding, which they wouldn't have had to go through in Virginia because Virginia has different rules. And some other states are like Virginia and they have informal probate proceedings. Unfortunately, in California, we don't. So it's something to be mindful of. So if you know somebody or you yourself have recently moved to California from another state, now's a great time to look at your estate plan and have it reviewed by an attorney. If you are moving from California to another state, same concept. You're going to want to have things reviewed. So there you have it. There's some thoughtful considerations to think about when it comes to your estate planning and how moving, whether it's you or people that are involved in your planning or property that you own is moving. It's a great time to sit down and have a conversation with an estate planning lawyer to determine what, if any, strategies you might need to employ. So again, my name is Kevin Snyder of Snyder Law. I'm an estate planning and elder law planning attorney. And hopefully that was valuable for you. If you have questions, please put them in the comments here in the feed. And if you want me to talk about something in the future, please let me know. Happy to do that. Otherwise, have an amazing week. Take care, everyone.